Moses, the great prophet, received the Ten Commandments at Sinai, and over the course of the next 40 years, through prophetic inspiration, scribed the entire 5 books of the Torah. Moses received not only the text itself, but also Hashem's interpretations of it, called the Oral Torah, and transmitted all this to the elders of his generation, who functioned as the teachers and judges for the entire nation. The prophets of Israel continued the transmission of Moshe's Torah from generation to generation. They also received their own prophecies, which are recorded in the Jewish Bible. Eventually, prophecy gave way to divine inspiration, a lower level of bestowed enlightenment. The following generations of luminaries wrote praises and lamentations and recorded significant historical events which are included in the Jewish Bible under the section called Writings. Shortly after the destruction of the Second Temple, the oral tradition, due to Roman persecution, was in danger of being broken. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi decided, out of necessity, to commit the oral tradition to writing, and did so in his work called the Mishnah. The Oral Torah thus became a written tradition, though it is still referred to as the Oral Torah. The next generation elaborated on the Mishnah, and their conclusions are compiled as the Talmud. The conversation continues throughout history, and each generation contributed essential works and insights to the Oral Torah. The process continues to this very day, and now, with change happening at an accelerated rate and technology transforming the fundamentals of life experience, the sages of Israel must deal with new questions that never arose before. The Torah is eternally relevant and remains our guide for addressing the questions of contemporary life. Our rabbinic decisors must find Talmudic paradigms and halachic precedents that apply to the case at hand, must carefully consider the law's origins, must carefully grasp the technological principles and societal norms that are relevant to the current question. In so doing, they contribute to the Torah, which is the tree of life, whose roots are the revelation at Sinai, and whose branches are the teachings of each generation, and whose leaves are insights of each contributor to the Oral Torah.
Select your preferred language to navigate the site. Note that this is the interface language only. No matter which interface language you choose, content will appear in both English and Hebrew. Select the topic of interest to you. Hover over a main category to see an overview of it. Click on a main category to see its subcategories. Subcategories are organized in folders. Clicking on a subcategory will bring up a display on the right sidebar of all the entries associated with it. Each entry, for example, an article or an audio file, is associated with specific subcategories. The rabbis and community categories work the same way. Select a challenge or question and click on the responses or the opinions icon. You will be redirected to relevant rulings and positions taken by various rabbis or to different scholarly and lay positions. Clicking on a specific response or opinion will bring up a display on the sidebar of all the associated entries. Hover over icons, titles, and authors to see additional information. To access the entry, click on the icon directly to the right of the title. Click to see which subcategories the entry is associated with.